The East is weak. What you gotta
But
say
I
about it?
respect them. This is what I have to say. What I respect about you, Christian, um, in part because of the occupation, you show up every week for this. I've got Warriors fan friends, one in particular. Haven't heard five Warriors comments from him all season.
Good. That's where they belong.
So
Don't do him
That's
like
where they
that, bro.
belong. In
I
a
will
fucking
do him
hole.
like that.
They need to go
Okay.
back in the fucking hole
When you
that
hear
they
this,
stopped
sir,
and stay there
when
with
you hear this,
Chris
sir,
Mullin.
know I'm talking to you.
The disrespect, bro.
All right.
They could go back in that hole with Chris Mullin and Monte Ellis, and they could stay there for another
Wow.
20 years.
Wow. Jeez. Come to the East and say that, Christian. Come to the East and don't check in and say that.
Hell yeah, I will. I ain't scared.
I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3 on 3 podcast. I am Hans, 1/3 of your three fantastic hosts here with my main man, Ev. What's up, Ev? How you doing today, man?
Another beautiful day in Zamunda.
Yes, sir. Also, my main man, my guy, Lou. What up, Lou? What it do?
Peace, love, and harmony. You already know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to see it. Glad to see it. As always, we have the Pod Mamba coaching us from behind the scenes, making sure we're on point with everything. We have another fantastic show on deck for today. So we're going to start with Mr. Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans. They have been on a surge recently, making their way up the standings inch by inch, game by game. They've stringed a couple of winning streaks together here, and they're up there. They are currently, right now, as it stands, as fifth. And if the playoffs were to start, they'd be facing the Clippers. Now, we know it's well documented that there are certain co-hosts here who have been critical of the Pelicans and mostly Zion's performance. But as of late, he has been performing really well and exceeding some people's expectations. I'm not going to say everyone, just some people's expectations. Currently averaging 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists right now, and has really been a focal point to the Pelicans. Now, I will say this, the Pelicans just recently had some injuries with Brandon Ingram, but it's not a long injury. He should be back at the beginning of April. At least that's what's being put out there via NBA and other sources from Twitter that I read on. He should be back the 5th or so from a bone contusion. But yet and still, the Pelicans are still on a roll. They're still winning. Zion, CJ, and the cast are performing well. Now, I usually start with Ev, but we got to start with my boy Lou today to first see if you have any kind words or any admissions of wrong takes in regards to Zion Williamson.
Look, everybody likes to get caught up in smoke signals, hype, headlines, etc. Zion is not playing any better than his stats have shown from the beginning of the year. Yeah, I mean, his stats since the beginning of the year are 22, closer to 6 assists and 5 boards. So, or rather, almost 6 boards and 5 assists. So, how he's been playing since January 1st, his stats are exactly the same. So, what more is Zion really doing? Okay, close sources said that he's lost about 25 pounds and really taking it serious. Is it because of really locking in and wanting to have bought into what the Pelicans system and franchise is doing, or is it because hey, these things also have money implications when it comes to his contract, right? He has to be able to pass 6 weigh-ins in the 24-25 season, or else, he'll see his contract isn't guaranteed. He starts to lose about 20% of that contract, right? His total both weight and body fat percentage can't be over 295, and he's currently, I believe, at 284. So there's some things that he has to keep in mind if he wants to make sure that he has guaranteed bread on his contract for the 25, 26, and 27 season. So no better time than right now, especially as the season is coming to an end and you guys are within striking distance. Yeah, you guys are a half game behind in the 4 or 5 race right now. And that's, home court advantage is everything when you talk looking at the playoffs. So having all of these things together in the pot, I think makes the correct stew, not what everybody else is trying to put out there. Like, oh, Zion has really turned it around. Now, I will say in the last 10 games, his point average has gone up by 5, and also his rebounds have gone up by almost 3. I mean, so, we are seeing a little bit of a surge. His assists is down by 1, but point is, I think that the Pelicans realize they have something here, and hey, if we're already in the mix of 4 or 5, why not go for it? Especially with 8 games left in the season. Time to go hard or go home.
Okay. Lou's not impressed, Ev. Lou's not
The
impressed.
numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie.
Are you impressed, Ev?
I call that a mediocre apology. But
It's not an apology.
I'll give it to Lou. The season isn't 100% over. So I understand why his apology is only mediocre at this point.
Why would it be an apology?
The reason it should be an apology is because at the beginning of the season, you said this man wouldn't make it through the season. Now, like I said, like you called it out, 8 games to go or whatnot. So technically, season isn't over yet. So I can't hold that against you.
How many games did he miss?
So he's played 60. So he more than half. More than half. So again, he's proven you wrong for this year. But I'll give you a couple things from the standpoint. His stats fairly consistent throughout the year. So some slight uptick in the last 10 games. You called it out. It's more so a testament to the team's success as a whole, 8-2 in the last 10, and really a testament to not just Zion playing more games, but their big three, so to speak, playing games as well. Brandon Ingram, 63 games on the season, although he's about to be out for at least the next couple of weeks. CJ McCollum, 55 games on the season. It's the most that the three of them collectively have played since they've been together. And so when you look at that, you're getting the overall success of a team that's deep, a team that has a pretty solid roster, and a team that's gotten general health from its best players. Where Zion becomes still a tantalizing story is that at this point at the beginning of the season, especially at this point last season, we didn't know if we'd ever see at least this, a consistent day in, day out scorer that can give you 20 to 25 points, that can move the ball, that can rebound more than 3.5 a game, which he was averaging a year or so ago. So we're seeing Zion be a more rounded form of himself, although maybe not that exceptionally explosive supernova tantalizing prospect that we were able to dream on, a couple years ago, but still a very solid player in itself. And if he can maintain this consistency in the team as well, the team could be in a good place. It's funny who they're potentially matched up against. The Clippers, 4-5 matchup. That's a match made in heaven if those two teams play against each other, because that's a matchup of players that never make it through a season. So that should be an interesting series, not only for the basketball, but for the medical departments as well. But interesting to see how they end the season. But I'm happy to see Zion make it through this year and make it through playing well.
I'm gonna have to agree with Ev. I had the same take on it. Is it really Zion coming out of his shell, or is he doing what he's supposed to be doing? All right. So I personally have not seen anything that I will laud over. I am still skeptical of how they're using him, kind of like this point, him bringing the ball up and everything like that. I don't think that's maximizing his talents. I don't think it is, but at the same time, if that's what you need to do to kind of get him engaged to buy in, so to speak, do what you need to do, right? Do what you need to do. But yet and still, I don't think you're maximizing his skill as a player and as a corner of your franchise. Because if you look at it, how the offense is being run, he's not the number one guy. He's the
He's
third
not.
option right now. So if he's supposed to be your franchise players, he's supposed to be that guy. If you're pacifying him right now by letting him experiment with this point forward, like what happens? My concern is you're in a 4-5 when it gets into the playoffs. That's not going to work for too long. I don't see it working for too long. Not when you get it against the elite teams. It's not going to work. But they haven't been,
Never
competitive
been
in the
tested
playoffs
like
for
that.
too
Yeah.
long. So this will be a success either way, right? He's healthy. They'll maybe potentially get to the second round if they get past the Clippers, and that'll be great for them as well. So you take your wins wherever you can,
I
right?
just want to be clear that nobody here has said that Zion has done anything exceptional. Okay. Yes, he's been able to stay healthy, string games together. But we all are the same consensus that Zion is mid.
It's
He's
mid.
mid. He's mid. Now, I mean, it's a great looking mid, but like Hans alluded to, bro, he's not even the first option. So
So that's why you feel like you ain't gonna apologize because he
I'm
has
not
no he has no
apologizing, bro, for doing your job, for staying healthy, for making it past 60 games. What? I'm not applauding you for that. Now, if you were the
So
one, if he was the one that was really making this whole franchise turn around, then yeah. But we see the reason, and the reason
so if he was
exists. What Eb
performing
said.
like Luca, right? If he was performing like Luca, leading the team, putting him on his shoulders, then you'd be more
Yeah.
impressed.
Well, then in terms of when you talk about somebody that you building your franchise around, then I could be like, yeah, this is a clear reason why. But look what's happening with Luca. Even still with that, it's still not enough. It's still not enough. You know,
Well, he
you heard
has
me
more than
say.
Luca.
He has what?
He has more than Luca.
More what?
People.
Athleticism?
No, he has more
Oh,
people with him than Luca.
oh yeah,
Luca
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
have
for
as much
sure.
help as Zion has.
No. Agreed. You know what I mean? But if they
What?
were having the same, if they were having the same success, and it was a clear distinction, it was like it's because of Zion's play, then yeah, for sure. But we know that's not the case.
You think Zion has more help than Luca?
Yes.
Luke, the
Dallas
same.
Dallas may be more top heavy, but New Orleans is a more complete team.
Dallas is not
Outside of
nowhere complete.
you're saying outside of Kyrie lineup, New Orleans 3-9 versus Dallas is 3-9,
Yeah,
and you
cooked.
think it's
Hold on.
It's not even.
well.
Yeah.
Well, before you even go into that, Christian, because I can see the debate on that. Although I do think New Orleans is a deeper team. I want to say to two parts of what y'all said. One on the Zion, and okay, he may not be playing at the exceptional level, right? That some thought he may be at this time. But part of getting to that level is being on the court and playing games and growing your game. And so what we're seeing from Zion, who's in like his fourth or fifth season, but as far as actual time on the court, he's more so like in his second or third season of consistent basketball played, right? So he hasn't had the time to consistently grow out his game in NBA, in real life situations. And to the point Zion case, while I am equally as skeptical of him going to his left 95% of the time and good teams cutting that off in the playoffs, what I will say that it does is it opens up the court to an extent, because Zion, he he honestly doesn't have a true position. And so when they move him into that point Zion role, it allows him to get more flexibility on the court, more wings on the court, allows him to go smaller sometimes, and it opens up the court some, which is what makes it work for them. As good as Valanciunas is and consistent as he is, when it's both him and Zion and Brandon Ingram on the court and a Trey Murphy on the court, it really bogs up the offense. So moving him to the point unofficially sometimes does open up the court some.
All it does is it gets him out the way. That's really all it is.
No,
funny. Like it works. It works. And then oftentimes on the switch, they're able to get potentially a mismatch, right? Whether it's a bit now you have a big on the guard, so you know what I mean. They have opportunity to drive, or you have Zion on a smaller player, so he has an opportunity to play bully ball. Or I mean, they keep running in, but Zion is a fairly good passer, so you know what I mean. He can almost like in a Steph Draymond situation, gets the ball and be able to kind of kick it to the open man for the second or third pass. But like Hans said before, when you get to a playoff situation, now we're like grinding down to a half court game. How is that going to work?
But to that point, we talked about it the last show. What is a point guard, right? One of the duties is what do you do? Like we were lauding about Steph Curry controlling the offense, not necessarily with the ball, but his movements without the ball. That's what happens. If you look at it after that pick and roll, that initial pass, he floats down to the wing and just stands there. And he's just kind of looking around. So you're essentially dead space at that point. You're easy to guard. You can, if you're the other team, you can shrink the paint on Brandon Ingram because he's a mid-ranger. Now, CJ McCollum, yes, he can shoot out the threes as well, but he's more comfortable in his mid-range as well. So now you're allowing teams to really, muddle up that mid-range and contain your other offensive firepower. So that's what my concern is although it does open up the court on some aspects, to me, it muddles up your offense. And also, Zion has not yet acquired those point guard skills fully. So when he does get that initial, pass, he doesn't know how to take his player with him and move down. He doesn't see the game fully in that aspect. Now, he has some of the natural athletic skills that a point guard has, but I don't think his NBA IQ is quite there yet, which to me is a problem, is a weakness when you get, to the playoffs and there's players or coaches who will exploit that to the fullest, which leads me to my next point. How effective do you think this team is going to be in the playoffs? Is it matchups? Because the Clippers, one can argue, can match up with them. Or let's say they weren't match up with the Clippers, right? Let's say they slide, because that's probably the best option for them to slide down. Would that fare better for them? Or do you think they're good enough to go head to head with the Clippers? You go ahead, Ev.
Yeah, I think they're good enough to go head to head with them. I think they play well against them this year. They are a deep team. We've gotten 15, 16 minutes in. We haven't even mentioned Herb Jones, one of the best disciplined guard defenders in the league. Last week when they played the Clippers, a tremendous block on Paul George closing out on a three. So the discipline's there. Trey Murphy off the bench, both sides of the court gives you versatility. So they match up from a length standpoint. They can go large and they can go small with the Clippers. I think the Clippers are a tremendous first round matchup for them, actually. Now, where they go outside of the first round, I don't know. But even to make it out of the first round for this team, I think would be a sign of success. It would be a good thing for the year for them. So I think not only should they push to maintain in the fifth psychologically, push for that fourth seed. The Clippers, since they went 22-5 in December, January, they've fallen down to earth. They've looked a mess without Russell Westbrook. So this is the opportunity, gain some ground on them. I know the Smooth the King Center may not be the most raucous, home crowd in the NBA, but get some Get some beignets and
Listen, man,
some
New Orleans
beads
gonna be lit,
on.
man.
Exactly,
Who would
man.
have thought?
So some etouffee.
You know,
Who would have thought that Evan or anyone would have said the Clippers are really missing Russell Westbrook right now? Wow.
I mean, they are though. He brings that energy off the bench.
Yeah, the
They
second unit is a completely different unit with him as the general.
yeah. And what happens is, I want to give credit to who said it. Kenny Jet Smith said it a lot. Your others are often rhythm players, so they need to get that rhythm. So when you have people who get injured mid-season or close to the end of the season, it's hard for those role players to elevate their game in that short of amount of time with not having the reps and the rhythm. So that's why you're seeing the Clippers do that, because you're asking Man to just, or Bones Highland to just
Bring it
make things
instantly.
happen, and he's looking a mess at point guard, right? Because he's not getting those reps. It's not happening to him. And Norman Powell is doing his thing, of course, giving 20, but he can only do so much as well. So it's going to be interesting. I do wonder, to Ev's point though, with the matchups defensively, I do wonder how that's going to shake out, because although I I love the Clippers, I love Paul George, Kawhi, and everything like that. I do think that the role that the Pelicans are on, and also the mentality that CJ and Brandon Ingram has, who they don't fear anybody, kind of like what we were talking before. They're like, the Pelicans don't strike me as a team that fears anybody. Right now, when they were embarrassed in the in-season tournament, that was just, to me, just lack of discipline, lack of preparedness, et cetera, et cetera. To me, it wasn't a fear of the stage or anything like that. They don't strike me as a team that knows they shouldn't be here. They strike me as a team that says, hey, just give me a shot and we'll take our best shot and make things happen. So I am interested to see that lineup. I just wonder, X and O's wise, what they're gonna do with the Zion Enigma, right? Are they gonna push him to continue to be this point forward that we're seeing? Are they gonna give him some, mid block, low block touches to soften up the paint? I'm just curious to see X's and O's wise what's gonna happen, because they're gonna have to do that. Teams are gonna cut off that drip real quick. Like you said, they push him to his right hand, force him to pass over his shoulder, which he can't, that crossbody pass that we see Luka and Joker do. So, they make it look easy, but you played again. That's a hard pass to do on point, right? And to have him start to do those type of passes, it's gonna start to get a little iffy. So we'll we'll see how they fare out. But yeah, and still though, shout out to them. They're trending in the right direction at the right time. This is when you want to be making this rush. This is when you want to get it together. Hopefully, Brandon Ingram gets back soon so we can actually see them at the full strength. Like Evan says, I think the NBA deserves to see both of these teams with all their players going at each other. I think that would be must-see TV. I think that'll be a series that people will be tuning in. Even Christian, a reported Clipper hater, would probably sneak in maybe like a half or a quarter of maybe one of the games. He wouldn't tell
Proud of
nobody.
it too. I'm proud to be a Clipper hater too.
Yeah, it'll be his
I ain't-
guilty pleasure.
Not even guilty pleasure. I'll tell you. I'll tell everyone. I don't care.
No, guilty pleasure to watch it. I think you'll sneak it in. When you're watching something you're not
Oh, watch
supposed
them
to.
fail. Oh, I love it.
Wow,
Grab my
wow.
popcorn. Get some popcorn ready. Watch them
Here we
lose
go.
again.
Here we go.
Pelicans won the series with the Clippers 3-1, by the way, during the regular
Got you.
season. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember it off the top of my head, which is hard to use because you never
Oh,
know who was healthy for
I
what
was about
game.
to say,
but
I was gonna pull that stat out, but it was like,
Who
they
knows? Was it pre-Harden, after Harden?
yeah, right.
What
So
was
it's
there?
well, three of them at least were after.
Yeah.
At least three of them, but still, playoffs are a different beast. So.
It is very much so, very much so. So we'll see. We'll see what's happening. Like I said, I think it'd be must-see TV to have these stars out here. So speaking of must-see TV, now in the NBA has been in the last 2 seasons promoting gambling with some partnerships with different gambling sites. And I, for one, think it's a great idea. People do it anyway, right? At the end of the day, people gamble on these games anyway. So why not get into it and figure out how to help it benefit yourself as a business. So shout out to the NBA, to me, for jumping into it. I don't necessarily think that was a bad move, but a tweet was brought to our attention that raised a question that I think the NBA will have to address, if not now, pretty soon. So the tweet was from Jesse Blanchard, if that's how you pronounce his last name. Sorry if I butchered your name. But his tweet said, "Can someone ask an NBA player how they feel about media members now getting paid by gambling institutions who have a vote on awards those companies are accepting bets on?" So initially, I know the wording and the grammar was a little off. They're basically asking, how do NBA players feel about people in the media who have a vote on MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, things like that, which are sometimes, or I don't want to say sometimes, most times tied to bonuses for your money. So that's extra money for you, right? How does the NBA player feel about these people who have votes having endorsement deals with betting institutions like FanDuel, for example? Do they feel that this may persuade votes or not? Because you can, in fact, bet on everything. I think this is a great question. This is uncharted territory for the NBA. And when you're going into new waters, when you're trying something new, you can't always flesh out all the potential obstacles, right? So, Ev, I'm going to start with you on this one. Do you think there may be a potential issue in terms of betting as it relates to the endorsement deals that these betting companies have with these media members who essentially have votes?
So it's a chicken and egg question, in my opinion. And where I'm going with that is gambling has always been a sports taboo, yet gambling has always been around, as you stated. When you look at almost all the sports, there's been gambling related scandals that have rocked almost every major sport in this country and probably worldwide. So that's just an unmistakable fact of the matter. When you look at the acceptance of gambling and it becoming legal in more and more states and all of the different companies that are popping up as a result of it. So yeah, you have your FanDuels, you have your underdog fantasies, you have your MGMs, you have all of these instances that pop up. You have media members that have been giving their opinions on sports, on awards, on all NBAs, things of that nature before these companies popped up. Been talking about the odds on these awards before these companies popped up. But now these companies are putting their money towards these sports media personalities and entities because it's mutually beneficial for them. So it's one of those things where it's like, even if I have a problem with it, this isn't the definitive issue that's out there as it relates to the entire landscape as it relates to gambling. Do I think that, and I don't want to put out certain names and not put out other names, but do I think that if a media member that's got a sponsorship of Underdog Fantasy points out that Jaylen Brown is plus 800 or plus 100 to make third team All NBA, and he thinks that he should win third team All NBA, do I think that in itself is going to sway the vote for Jaylen Brown versus something else? It can have an impact on the margins if I hear it right when third team All NBA forward is up against there might be like 3 or 4 names up for it. But is that going to be the definitive reason why I think Jaylen Brown or any other player should win it? I don't know. I struggle with that, right? So I say all that to say that it may have some impact on the margins, but at the end of the day, the players got to play the game. And they got to put in that body of work over, 50, 60, 70, 82 games. Well, 65 games at least, or they're not eligible for, a lot of these awards now. So when it comes to that, I don't know if I have an issue with it. I can't have more. Well, I can, but I don't think I have more issue with that than I would with gambling as a whole. As long as gambling exists and people are going to make money off of it, allow folks to make their money off of it. The game still has to be played on the court.
True. I definitely understand that. I guess what concerns some people is the integrity of said vote, right? So how do you, as the NBA, protect the integrity of the vote? So, like you said, you don't want to call out names, but you do have people who are just out here being endorsed publicly. Like Stephen A has this deal with FanDuel. I think Perkins there, and ESPN has a ESPN Bet,
Yeah,
right?
Perkins is on ESPN Bet.
Yep.
Yeah, Perkins is on ESPN Bet, so they have that. And I think the concern is, does that compromise the integrity of it? Now, does it go to the length of, I don't know if you guys remember Dan Lebertard losing his vote, because he essentially like sold it off for like a gag, just
Yeah,
for
he did it as
content,
a prank. Yeah.
as a prank and things like that, but they barred him from voting. So, and that was them protecting the integrity of the vote. Is it going to get to that length? So, Lou, is there anything you think the NBA can do to ensure the integrity of these votes, or is this the cost of playing the game?
So it's two things, right? At the end of the day, we've seen what happens with when people who directly affect the game and it's found out what happens. I'm blanking on the name of the ref that they did the entire
Tim
documentary
Donahue.
about. Yes,
Donahue.
exactly. So long that you're not
Donaghy, by the way. Tim
I hear you.
Donaghy,
My
that
bad.
so long as you're
my
not
boy, the
affecting,
Lakers fan.
Makes sense.
yeah, fixing the game. But so long that you're not affecting the actual game, there's but so much that you can really take issue with. Secondly, in terms of if you're somebody with the right to vote and so on and so forth, similar like when you work for your job, if you work for a publicly traded company, you sign paperwork about insider trading. If you then make some massive come up based on a pick that you may have swayed, and you can directly benefit from it. I'm sure the NBA already has things in place to be able to track those pieces, just like any regular company would. So I think those things would curtail, or at least discourage people from trying to do it. Now, if you want to find some way to get to benefit off it, somebody's going to find a way around it anyways. So part of it is just the cost of doing business. The NBA is allowed for not only just the media personality to have involvement with these companies. Players are also now of the last, the bargaining agreement. They made an amendment where players can have some vested interest in non-basketball aspects of these betting platforms, and also have just general endorsement of non NBA related portions of these platforms. So the NBA is probably already aware of, look, we're not going to be able to cover everything. We're not going to be able to find every loophole and how somebody can make somebody on the back end. But I'm sure they have having already made all these decisions and made these concessions, they have some stuff in place just to be able to track anything glaring.
And I get it from the standpoint of, if I'm an NBA player and I know I have $40 million riding on an all NBA vote, or an MVP vote or something of that nature. Like I understand, I want everything to be on the up and up. I understand being paranoid of any malfeasance that could impact, my pockets. I just think when it comes down to an award standpoint, how many surprises are there often? There could be some debates on the margins, but I mean, even take like a controversial MVP vote. Like, we all agree Kobe should have won MVP over Steve Nash, but it wasn't because Steve Nash had a trash year. Steve Nash had a transcendent year. I mean, so the argument was still there for, Steve Nash to be MVP. When it comes
That's
to
the point I'm
award,
making about, like, yo, at the end of the day, so long that you're not affecting the day-to-day game,
yeah,
is but so much you can be
The
upset
media
about.
hated Kobe. That's why he didn't get it.
And that may have something to do with it.
Was
But
that after the Colorado fiasco too?
It was
yeah,
after
it
the
was after,
Colorado
was.
situation.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
I
Kobe was
I
very
say that to
vocal about
say,
not liking the media. He even went on record saying he didn't like them. So I mean, it's a little self-sabotagey by Kobe
Mhm.
by doing that. But still, I mean, these media people are voting. A lot of them are voting based on like feelings rather than subjectivity over objectivity. That's what they're doing. It's all narrative for them.
and I don't disagree with that at all. I I guess it's hard to quantify
I,
how much is
Affected by
financial,
this. Yeah.
I
yeah,
think
At
versus
what's
this point.
I think what's going to happen is you're not going to see it for the bigger awards. What you're going to see it for, I think, is um, the the qualifications for All NBA and things of that nature. I think the ones that are really more tied into the kickoffs from your contract, I think those are the ones that may be the ones that are going to be looked at and scrutinized by the NBA players' eyes. Does that make sense? So if I know that I've been excelling at an all NBA level and things of that nature, and certain people on certain platforms aren't being swayed, by my performance for personal reasons, et cetera, et cetera, I could take, I could take exception to that. I could take umbrage to that. So I don't know. I think it's something that we may not worry about as a lay fan who's looking at, MVP, defensive player of the year, rookie of the year kind of situations, because those are really kind of just straightforward for the most
Mhm.
part. But when you look at I don't want to say lesser awards, but the ones that are not more notable, but the ones that we as NBA guys kind of look at and like, who made this all NBA team, who didn't, I think those are the ones that the NBA players are going to take umbrage to, because those come with a lot of kickers for their contracts. But I do like what the NBA is doing, and the Pod Mamba made us aware of this, that the NBA is rolling out a new function on the NBA League Pass that allows viewers to track betting odds in game and bet on them through FanDuel and DraftKings, making it more transparent, letting the viewers interact and see these odds as well too. I think it's a great thing, so that they just don't get their information just from one source or one person, and may relieve some of that, that bias that may be there. So shout out to the NBA for doing that. But I think there's going to be more policies that are going to have to be rolled out, similar to what Lou says, right? We've all been in the corporate world and worked, and we've signed contracts that, said that we can't compete or, participate in insider trading and things of that nature. So I do think there's going to be more policy legislated by the NBA, but I think it's one of those things where you hope that you're ahead of an issue, that you're proactive and not reactive. And that's going to be the issue. So is this going to be a situation where the NBA is going to go on the side of history as being proactive, or are they going to be reactive? So we're hoping that they're proactive, a situation that doesn't happen, because the last thing you want is for the integrity of the league to be placed in question. Right. So go ahead, Ev.
no, I was just thinking there was a story last week. JB Bickerstaff, he came out and he said he got threatened by gamblers. And he reported it to after a game, he reported it to NBA security. So on the gambling topic, whereas from a media member standpoint, maybe I'm not as concerned. I do say the overall proliferation of gambling into the NBA and sports as a whole, I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth a little bit, because it does open up more opportunities for advantage to be taken of, exactly like you said, on the fringes. Uh, so that's something that the NBA, which I'm sure they're doing, but as they continue to get more in bed with these different gambling entities, it just ratchets up the policing that they have to do even that much more to make sure that their players, their partners, their entities are all steering clear of illicit activity.
Right. And also, we have to be honest and transparent with the whole culture of betting and how it is characterized in the United States. It's not legal in every state. It's not. And the reasons for every state are different. So, as you guys know, my wife lives in North Carolina. So, I was up in North Carolina last week, and the commercials, Kevin Hart, I would see it multiple times. Gambling's now legal in North Carolina, and boom, 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 right? So, the way the betting is characterized and viewed by every state and by the country as a whole, I think is going to have an effect on it as well. So to me, it's still in the realm of a little bit of how alcohol was viewed during the prohibition. Right. So it's viewed as something that was demonized, that was just not great for you, that you shouldn't partake in as well. And as much as we like to separate church and state, America is predominantly very much Christian influence as well, too. So, and those who are in these seats that we elect, that we vote them in, have a lot of Christian influence as well, too. So there's politics that come around that may block the NBA from, and I'm talking about like growing in a sense, because I don't see gambling, at least not soon, expanding to every state. There's some states that are just hard down now, unless they can find some way, because money talks more than
So
religion.
that bottom line tighten up too much.
That's what I'm saying. Money talks more than religion in this country. Now, if there's a way that they can legislate that the state gets a lot of money from said gambling, then I can see it kind of opening. But I don't know what the rules are for each state, right? Because each state is different, and I don't know what deal that they have.
Also, you got to consider that some of these states have casinos. So there are also things in place with the Native American folks. So they have to make sure that things aren't in competition with these long-standing laws and rules that they have with those groups. So it's a couple, depending on the state, there's a couple things to consider um, that include that. So that market may already be reserved for those folks for X, Y, or Z reasons. So yeah, there are gonna be some hurdles, but like you said, money talk. If somebody, if at the end of the day everybody get their piece, they good.
Facts. And that's why I think the NBA has, that's why I'm hopeful the NBA will be more proactive than reactive, because this is not something that's going to catch wildfire, right? Gambling has been around just as long as some would say prostitution, right? Since the beginning, like it's been around. So it's going to take time, and the NBA will have enough time, hopefully, to kind of legislate and, kind of get around these potential obstacles and hurdles. I, for one, with anything that would bring more eyes to the game, that will increase the level of competition. I'm for anything that will give me a better product. Because imagine if some way gambling was related to the All-Star game and All-Star weekend was lit like it was in my childhood. Oh, man. Bring in the money. Bring in the money. Okay.
I feel
Instead of
Bring
that.
in the
causing
money.
problems, let's use gambling to fix problems. That's what I'm hearing.
Listen, man, people use alcohol to fix problems all the time. Ev, what are we doing? I'm just saying, Ev. I'm
Called a
just
coping
saying
mechanism.
exactly what it is. You can
Oh
tell your
my
wife's a
gosh.
therapist, all right? It is what it is. Let people cope how they want to, Ev. It's a free country. It's a free country, okay?
Oh
Bring
man.
gambling back, man. Fix the All-Star game. Throw money at it. That's the problem. They're not letting people bet on these odds.
Yay, man. Money talk.
We're a solution-oriented podcast. I like it.
There you go, man. Your wife been talking to you, man. Solution focused, man. Shout out to Lucy, man. Shout out to Lucy. We gotta bring her on the pod, man. Out here. All right. So, speaking of a game, I just had flashback of my All-Star game, man. Shout out to that. Oh, nerding out. Did you guys see the new rules for a city to host the All-Star game now?
No, tell me
Nah,
about
what
it.
is it?
Cities that don't
Okay.
have snow. Cities that the NBA actually wants to go to.
Right. So, because of issues they were having with lodging in Indiana, transportation, and things of that nature. So the NBA instituted some rules, which I'll have more information on it. It just popped to me. I wasn't prepared, but they have to have a certain amount of rail and public transportation infrastructure. They also have to have a certain number of however many star hotels within the vicinity as well too, to accommodate everybody. So it's basically knocking out a lot of these small markets that have hosted the All-Star game in the past, and they won't be able to anymore per these new rules as well. They also have to have access to ride share, a certain number of ride shares to adequately take care of everybody. So basically, moving forward, these small markets that don't have the
Don't worry,
infrastructure.
Portland is still in it. Portland is
Oh no,
still
100%, 100%, 100%. May knock out Atlanta.
Portland's not coming for other reasons.
Don't do that. So it may knock out historically small markets that have been, able to host the All-Star game. So,
more to talk
RIP
about in
to-
the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Utah, Cleveland, India trifecta was enough for people, huh?
It was too much. It's too much.
It's
My mama
fair.
posted one of the criteria. It has to have at least 7,250
250.
hotel rooms, and 3 5-star hotels. So, and all of these other, like I said, I didn't have it on there, but there's a lot of rules and regulations, but it knocks out basically a lot of small market team like
Basically,
cities.
so what does New York, LA, and
Miami.
and Miami have?
Yeah.
And then let's put in 7 more criteria.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know why they don't do it like the NFL. Go to Hawaii. Like, choose your hub. You get what I'm saying? And go there.
I mean, Vegas should be that for everything NBA.
I agree. 100%. Go there. Live it up. They
The
gambling
playing
anyway.
game should be in Vegas.
So you also need at least 650,000 square feet of convention center and exhibition space, and at least 75 nonstop domestic flights and at least 20 international flights. So
Yeah. Atlanta actually could make it because
Atlanta will
definitely
make it.
the busiest
Easy.
airport in the world. Yeah. Yeah, Atlanta's in there. It meets those criteria. Yes. So no Cleveland.
These NBA players were not kicking Atlanta off of their All-Star schedule. Okay, let me tell
I'm
you
sure
something.
Houston, Atlanta.
Houston,
Houston
LA,
and Atlanta and Miami.
Exactly.
They were like, hey,
exactly. Miami, LA, New York.
what are the minimums to include Houston and Atlanta?
Exactly.
Like, make those the minimums.
Exactly.
Oh man. So speaking of games, Lou, you had the pleasure of attending a Bulls Rockets game as you were visiting the great city of Houston. You said watching your team lose?
Team lose to bums. All right, that's all I have to say about it. We lost to bums. Houston hit 17 threes. Dylan Brooks gave us 20 before getting ejected. Okay, like this is insane. How did we? They just shot out. They were on from 3.
don't mess with Compton DeMar, bro. Don't mess with him.
Compton DeMar.
Sorry, the Bompton.
And then he got tossed. But yeah, it was. I mean, we got within striking distance a couple times, but our guys are off, man. We got to fourth quarter. Kobe White only had 4 points. Like we lost to bums. They were too busy
Bums.
out
So they're on a
partying.
9-game winning streak, Lou. They're bums, son.
They are the
Better than the
only
Bulls.
team at the bottom who's not yet. Stop playing with me. It's not yet eliminated. Houston is not even going to whiff the play-in. Okay, not even going to whiff the play-in.
Half game out. Listen, if you're going to be in Houston on April 4th, that Houston Warriors game could be lit. It's going to be lit. Fam. Listen, you and Cinnamon, y'all need to go.
Wow.
Bulls couldn't beat the Rockets. They couldn't beat the Wizards tonight.
Wow.
My bad.
They couldn't even beat the Wizards tonight. Wizards won 107-105. Chicago loses again, guys. God damn, this is breaking news. Live on air. The Bulls have lost to the Washington Wizards. Without Kyle Kuzma, just Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole's coming off the bench. He's in his element now.
We got listen, hold on, time out. We got Lou so flabbergasted right now. We hit him with a Bulls
Cinnamon, man.
cinnamon
Nah,
double whammy.
first of all, I only use cinnamon in my smoothies. Secondly, Christian, you forgot we playing poppies. Okay.
Rashad Holmes had a 14 and 15 game. My God.
Fam, your team is in what? Your team is what seed?
Tell
Your
have
team
some
is what
9 seed
seed?
to 9 seed respect,
Come
Lou.
on, bro. Like, yo,
Hold on,
come
hold on,
on,
hold
come
on. The
on.
Lakers 9 seed is not the same as the Bulls 9 seed. Stop playing.
From what I understand, 9 is still 9 is still 9. No matter
There's
how
a
far you
difference.
count.
There's a
Time out.
difference.
Time out. I want to just say something real quick. I want to intercede. I'm sorry. Okay. First off, shout out to my son. Y'all can't see this, but this says Dada of the birthday boy. My boy just
Okay.
turned 2
Nah,
this weekend.
Data is a clothing
Okay.
company,
Birthday,
man.
Elijah.
All right.
Let's go,
That is
Bronx.
Thank
no,
you,
that's a
thank you.
clothing company,
Thank
man.
you.
Yeah.
All right.
Gotta
Now
see
the
it.
reason I point that out is because my 2-year-old counts to 10 very well right now. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 is always the same. Okay. Always the same.
No.
Shout out to Elijah,
He's gonna
man.
carry
If the
this
Bulls
lesson
were in the
through his
Western
life.
Conference, they would be
But
12.
they're not. But they're
They
not.
would be 12.
But it doesn't matter. They're not. Because you will be playing the 10th seed. Just like my team will be playing the 10th seed and they're playing.
Oh, we won't be
Hopefully
playing.
yours
Same
makes it out.
stakes.
Hopefully
Same
yours makes it
stakes.
out.
I think y'all beat the Hawks, though. Y'all gonna beat the Hawks.
Can we beat
They'll
the
get it together.
Wizards?
We'll beat the Hawks, man. I just hope that
You know what's funny? The Lakers can't beat the Rockets, so who knows where we'll be at?
They're a great
month
team.
now.
Hey, yo, could you
They won
imagine
9
Golden
straight.
State being out?
They won
Oh
9
my-
straight. Let's go, Golden State.
Could you imagine if Golden State is out and it's a Rockets Lakers? And could you
Honestly-
imagine if the Rockets win?
Hold on,
my
guys. Hold on,
gosh.
guys. Hold on.
The NBA wouldn't
Let's
allow
play
it.
this
The NBA
scenario
wouldn't
out.
allow
Let's
it.
I
play
would
this
be
scenario out,
insufferable.
okay? Let's say the Rockets do
No.
make the 10. They beat the Lakers. Would I rather have have the Lakers be bounced in the play-in just so I know that the Warriors legacy is over? Am I
So
petty
petty.
enough?
Yes,
like-
you are. You would sacrifice. Yes,
Yes,
you
you
would.
would.
You would
You
sacrifice
would.
your team. You would.
Yes.
You would.
Wow.
100%.
Wow.
I might
100%.
actually. I don't know.
Your,
I don't know, man.
Your pettiness
would.
knows no bounds.
At all. At all. He said, if we're not in, you're not in either.
So what I'm hearing you say is if the Rockets make the play, if y'all are playing the Rockets in the play-in, you've already won, is what I'm hearing you say.
Maybe. I'm saying if the basketball gods asked me, would you rather play the Warriors in the play-in or lose and know the Warriors won't be in the play-in and their legacy is done? Which one would
Wow.
you choose?
You're leaning hard on the second, huh?
I don't know. I haven't decided. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. It's
We'll
hypothetical.
check in with you about it.
And my man has decided that lean was a super lean. My man has decided already. But could you imagine? I don't think the NBA would allow that. You can't have a playoff or play-in without both Steph and LeBron. It's it wouldn't go well. Somebody has to make it.
We'll find out April 4th.
Oh,
sure.
man, I'm excited. Christian gonna cancel the show. This might be the last. We might be coming up. This might be a one season podcast.
I'm letting you guys know
So
now. If the Lakers don't
enjoy
get into
us.
playoffs, like the playoffs, we're going on hiatus until next season.
I told you.
I ain't doing. I mean, you guys can record yourselves, but I'll let you know now, I am not
but you get
producing.
no production.
I'm not producing this show.
He says his contract comes with stipulations that the Lakers have to continue to be in
Irrelevant.
competition.
I need it
Irrelevant
in
competition.
writing. I need it in writing that you guys will not bring up the Lakers for the next 3 months.
It's a negative.
You're right. We might as well not record.
Because it could be the finals
Right.
between the Nuggets and the Celtics. It's like, hey, remember when the
Sorry,
Lakers?
we got top 20 front court, top 20 guards. We still got those in the background.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Guys, these are inside jokes because we did have unaired episodes that we recorded before the season started. And
Yeah.
we always
We
joke
got
about.
some stuff in the chambers.
Yes,
You never
we do.
know. You never
We
know when
do.
you need them.
All right, guys. Before we before we sign off, Evan did put this on the lineup, and I think it's a great question. What's your most memorable sporting event that you attended? Are we gonna keep it professional? Or you just want it to be like professional, or could it just be
Son,
any sporting event?
it's on your heart, man. Speak your mind.
No, I was just asking, like, when you pose said question.
So Lou's sojourn to see his team play the Rockets this past week just got me to thinking, what's your most memorable moment? What's your first moment? So I mean, it could be professional. We're a basketball podcast. I mean, I guess we could keep it basketball. My number one professional is a baseball podcast, but my number, I don't know if it's my number one or number two basketball moment. But I'll tell you the one I became a Knicks fan. I was not even living in New York. So funny, I had moved from New York by the time I started watching basketball, living in Georgia, going to Hawks games. But my first time seeing the Knicks was in the Omni. Shout out to the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. They came in. This is actually the season that they went to the finals. They came in, played the Hawks, were winning against the Hawks pretty good in the fourth quarter. And the crowd started let out a "Let's Go Knicks" chant for the first time, and that was my first time ever hearing it. And I was, "Hey,
Oh
let's
wow.
go Knicks!" I heard little
Wow.
kids, everything. I was hooked from that point, and so from that moment on, that's been 30 years now. But that's one of my most memorable, my first memorable basketball moment live.
Okay. You, Lou?
Man, live basketball. Probably it was well, I can say I remember my first pro basketball game. It was the Nets game when they were still in Jersey. Uh so that one was dope. That's I seen Kenya Martin, that whole crew alive. Um was definitely dope. It was special because I was like, damn, you know what I mean? I've seen, pretty much early Lob City. So that was super dope. But um and then in terms of it's not a game, but like basketball memory, pro basketball memory, I was at All Star when Levine won his first dunk contest.
Yeah, that dunk contest. Yeah.
That dunk contest was, seeing Levine win it for the first time. That was dope. That was super dope to
Nice.
witness. So
Nice. Dope, dope. I'd have to say I have a lot, but one that just came to mind was when I first saw LeBron play with the Cavs. He came to Atlanta, and it was just a great game. And that's when I was like, wow, I see what people are talking about. This man move like this, do the things he does at his size. This was early LeBron with the Cavs first year, first go around with the Cavs. Just magnificent, doing special things. So definitely one of my favorite ones. So, but awesome, y'all. So as always, guys, thank you for joining us. If you have your most memorable basketball moment, let us know. Hit us up on our social media. If you're listening to us via Spotify, I'll have it as the Spotify question. Let us know what's your most memorable sporting event moment. If you want to know what the Pod Mamba's most memorable sporting event is, he'll share with you on OT. So switch on over to YouTube and check out our OT. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Y'all take care. What's up, guys? Thank you for listening to the 3on3 podcast. Please be sure to give the episode a thumbs up if you loved it. Hit that subscribe button, and last but not least, hit that bell so that way you're notified every time we drop a new episode. Hit us up on our social media, guys. You can find us at the 3on3 podcast on IG and Twitter. If you want to give us any ideas or suggestions, shoot us an email at the 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next time.